Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Piotr here, this is LiteForex Global YouTube channel. We are going to discuss today about IBM, International Business Machine Corporation, the leading American computer manufacturer, sharing the major market both United States and abroad. The headquarters are in New York. So IBM, where we are going to within the 2021. All right, well, we are not going to discover America based on the monthly chart that 136, 140, that could be very important level, taking into the consideration what we already seen based on that level, right? The very strange thing with IBM is that taking into the consideration almost unlimited amount of the money, taking into the consideration that other tech companies are hitting all-time highs, we've seen lately from 2012 high above 200, we've seen the constant move to the downside, with the low been hitting during the COVID panic selling last year, and we hit at that time levels below 100. All right. Overall, IBM primary generates the revenue through 5 segments, and the top are cloud and cognitive software, global business services, global technology services, and systems and global financing. The top shareholders of IBM are James Whitehurst, Arvind Krishna, James Kavanagh, Vanguard Group, BlackRock, and State Street Corporation. That's the information from Investopedia based on the 6th of January 2021. So basically, while we are below 136, right, we might retest the levels around 116 and 100. So that's the main demand zone psychological level when it comes to the buyers. Of course, bears are using the falling trend line to add into the shorts each and every time we are hitting the line. Once we are going to make the break through 136, then I would look for a pullback, retest either horizontal 136 or retest of the falling trend line, and then see the continuation higher. What kind of the targets, long-term targets I see? If we are going to break 136, 140, it might open 175, 176 and 182. That's the zone, possible bull zone, if we are going to break 136, right? So we are going to hit during the bulls rally, we might hit this 176, 182 zone based on the monthly chart. All right, so that's how the things looks like when it comes to the long-term chart, when it comes to the IBM. Now, it's worth to mention that International Business Machine IBM is paying the dividend, the annual dividend of 6.52 per share, with the year taking into the consideration the current price around 4.95%. Let's switch lower. Let's switch to the weekly chart and let's have a look what we have here, because in that case, in my opinion, the most important is this move to the downside through the latest panic selling because of the first COVID big wave in US. So in that case, 152 looks like big supply level based on the weekly chart, and then again levels we were discussing a second ago towards 175. So that's the two possible targets. Of course, only if we are going to break through this 136 zone, supply zone here on the weekly chart as well. So taking into the consideration what we have here, right, we are fighting in between 50 and 61 Fibonacci zone here. And again, if that's the case, if we are going to hold, right, below 136, the last 4 weeks of the attempt to break higher could be treated as a failure, the same we've seen here, right? So it could be, as long as we are below 136, 137, we might see retest of the levels closer towards 115, 115 and 100 psychological level. So that's how I see the things related to the weekly chart when it comes to the IBM. Before we are going to switch lower, it's also worth to mention that 19th of April 2021, that's going to be the earnings report day for IBM. And the thing is that lately, each and every time we've seen the IBM reports, they didn't do very well. The shares didn't do very well. So again, that's the daily chart, and here the supply around 136 is even more visible. What I'm talking about? Well, that's the latest demand rally. That's the latest demand rally. And well, if you want to be even more strict, here the 50% of that. So what we have on the daily chart is that zone over here. Okay, so it's been tested once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5 times within the year, the last year, right? After the huge break to the downside, each and every time market been going back here, right? Been hitting this wall of supply and couldn't make through that level. So again, move back, at least for now, towards 115. That could be $20 range. And if we are going to break to the downside, the retest of the levels around 100, maybe a little bit below 100, to have the same distance, right, could be in place. And of course, break higher is a 20. So first 152 we discussed a second ago based on the weekly chart. So that's how the things related to the IBM looks like. Well, let's have a look from the intraday perspective finally. There you go. That's the 4-hour chart, and well, if that's the case, here again 115, as you can see, that's the zone. So we do have this 115 on a daily, on a weekly, and here from the intraday chart perspective as well. And 136, consolidation, failure, and today break to the downside. Is it going to be like this? The first target is 127, and then half of that consolidation, in that case we are talking about 120. Below that, 115, discussed before. Again, trying to summarize, bulls have to close both 136, 137 to make the rally keep going. Otherwise, either consolidation, 135, 115, break to the downside, will reopen 190 level. With that being said, guys, be very careful, work with your exposure, do your own homework. It was my pleasure to prepare the IBM update for you. Thank you very much, take care, and goodbye.